Didi. Thank you, Anit, for moderating the first part. So now we got a lot of questions actually, and some are actually already answered. The question came before. Somehow Nori has answered some of the questions as the snippet came in just now. So let's try to answer a few questions, and the questions that we will not be answering, perhaps we will cover in the following episodes in our podcast. Okay, Anit, is it okay if I go to you first?
Yeah, that's
okay. Because I think this is your field. Okay, what are the things? Sorry, it's movie. What are the things the legal fraternity can do to make Malaysia more inclusive and neurodivergent friendly?
Make accommodations. I think we are already progressing with advocating for law reform. Join us. Join our advocating. Get to the ministers if you can. A lot of lawyers are connected to legislations, to parliamentarians. Please do that. Mira has a topic that she always says, start at the dinner table. Start talking about it at the dinner table. You don't know who at the dinner table will be able to take that conversation forward. It may be someone in your family. It may be someone in the legal fraternity who knows somebody else. So as long as the conversation starts, so it takes socialization. So if you're neurodivergent, that's difficult. Faham. Tapi cuba kita cuba mula cakap and join us in our ad hoc committee in the PWD, in the Bar Council, so that we can do further. In your workplace, start getting them to do that. I can tell you as a lawyer that in my work with neurodiversity, I'm able to see different strengths in different people, and I'm able to identify to say, this person has got a strength in doing this, that person has a strength in doing that, and try to work on the weaknesses. So if you are able to do that and nurture talent instead of putting people on probation and kicking them out so quickly, that is a way of inclusivity as well.
Can I add to that? I'm not a lawyer, but I think where the legal fraternity can also help create more awareness to the lay person who are not lawyers. What are our rights and the rights of our children? How do we put our will together? How do we create a trust? How do we appoint guardians for our children with or without the OKU cards? I think these are questions that even I'm still learning. Yeah.
And your place of work, obviously, if you belong to a firm, maybe just like have a think about how more inclusive or at least aware that you can be of the issues connected and related to our community. Changes can be made anywhere, and this same thing, of course, could extend outside the legal fraternity. Maybe anybody here who is at work, or maybe if you're a business owner, you're a decision maker or manager, or somebody in that position to make some kind of difference. But even if you're not, then that having a conversation. So if it's not the dinner table, it's when you go out for lunch and just say, I attended this thing lah over the weekend. Buka cerita lah. Kata, antara benda yang saya dengar, saya tak pernah dengar, sampaikan lah. So you spread the awareness, right? That's at least something that everybody can do. Sedikit macam tu pun boleh. And then there will be a ripple effect. And then we hope that for those who have the family members, again, our kids will be more accepted. We will be less worried. Yeah, we hope for that future where, like Didi said, I'm hoping to be less afraid to die.
Okay.
Mira, like the microphone is there. So we have a comment from the audience.
We're taking questions from the floor, not just Slido.
Yeah.
Sorry, because Slido sometimes it limits me to ask questions. Okay. The number, mine just goes on. No, when we spoke about having the conversation, I think, as I said, having that conversation at the dinner table with your family, because your children who are neurotypical can be the agents of change. It starts with your own family, your own friends, my relatives. Because as my son, when he was younger, when I spoke about it, my family members, my cousins and all, were afraid to ask me for fear of upsetting me. But that wasn't the point. They didn't realize it. So when I realized that, I stepped out to speak to them about it and not just focus on my child's disability, but focus on his as a person, the funny moments that make everyone laugh. So I moved the focus away from the disability, but yes, talk about it. So it is important for us to reach out to our own children and family members because they can be your allies for power of change.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mira. Somehow you answered one question from Slido. Yeah, thank you for answering on our behalf. And I think it's perfectly answered. The question was, how can we better educate siblings of autistic individuals about ASD, fostering empathy while supporting their own emotional needs? So that answered it. Okay.
I don't mind adding to that a little
Okay,
bit.
sure, Nori.
I think it's the emphasis. The emphasis is always on that child. Often the emphasis is on the child that needs more. Kan? Kita bagi banyak perhatian yang lebih, sokongan bantuan yang lebih kepada anak yang mempunyai diagnosis, yang neurodivergent and things like that. So it is important to remember that siblings, your other children are there too, and they are going to need your love, care and attention as all human beings do. I think bring them into conversations about what is happening. And of course, before that, and this is why it's so hard, the parents wearing so many hats, not enough energy.
Exactly.
But really what you need to do is first make sure that nobody feels neglected. Because a sibling that feels neglected you're already starting off with having that difficulty, right? And that is understandable feeling to have, and you don't want that to happen. So at least if you know that all your kids feel loved, not just the special one that needs that extra care, then you can invite them and encourage them to also understand a little bit better or be there as that support system for that person. And also to speak about how we support each other, all of us in the family. That one person might need different levels and all the things that other people don't. But it doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't need support, love, care and attention too, right? So family as a whole, looking after each other. So some of these things are more like the look after that baseline first, making sure that everybody does feel that they are loved. And then I think you can encourage or teach a person and expect them to do more. But it's going to be hard to expect them to do more if they are feeling deprived, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nori. So, okay, now can SK take this question, which is quite a hard question, I think, because we have lots of thumbs up on this question. So, guys, you can go to the Slido and kind of like vote for the questions that you want me to ask.
Yeah.
So, this is a popular question. Often, professionals, caregivers speak for and advocates for neurodivergent, which is lovely. Thank you. However, when are we going to include them in the conversations?
Thank you for asking me to answer because I'm bursting to share. So I'll come back to this very important. In fact, if I have to bring in the Oasis Peace team, this is our approach, which is a very personal and professional one. This word advocacy, it's not a big word. It's actually inclusion. And we started earlier by saying, Mira, you said it starts socially at home, right? And if we have the individual, and here then of course we go into the technicalities of some boleh bertutur, yang lain tak boleh. Actually, when the neurodivergent is within a environment, we now have to coin it inclusive. They are already part of the voice. Voice suggests that there must be some sound. We know about body non-verbal language. Yeah. So we also want to thank and encourage families, schools, any setting, work. When we include the person who is different, that is a voice. That is a very powerful act of inclusion. I know Bao may, I have to again signpost to Bao after the session, if you have time, maybe, try to have conversations. There are many different neurodiverse brains in this sitting, and you will find that they are already here. And that's the voice. And your voice, which is added to this, is that you are here. Beyond that, let me pull my thoughts back.
When are we going to really include them in big conversations? I'm imagining, right?
I know the big
Also,
conversations,
yeah.
but every conversation is big. That is what I am trying to
Agreed.
illustrate. It doesn't need to be an audience of thousands. With the digital world now, the safety of being in one space, but multiplied by multiple screen. And that's why the screen is such a safe space for some of us who are neurodivergent. Kan? So coming back again to voices, I totally was jumping up with joy when last year we had the opportunity to have the Kita family's children on public stage. I was so proud because that wasn't a voice. Actually, we love action. They were acting out the voice of inclusion by using a device pun boleh. Yeah. So inclusion means the voice. So I actually want to encourage inclusion. Sometimes, forgive me, when we try to recognize that we are so neurodivergent, we also please welcome us neurotypical. Actually, I also have some diversity into the space, and I think that is the voice and advocacy. And you don't have to be a grown-up. You can be just a child. And being included in the play, in going out, going to public spaces, being seen is a voice of advocacy. So I hope that can encourage us. That is breaking the mindset. That is breaking the barriers of what voices of advocacy can look like. We are change makers. We are powerful change makers, each and every one of us.
Exactly. So it's not just through Kita Family Podcast, it can be other channels as well.
No, but
right?
also to mention voices of individuals themselves or self-advocates, right? We have groups like AIM, we have
Ida.
we have IDA, so look out for them. They are helping to amplify the voices of people themselves because it's, what is that saying? Nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
And please, there's a
Yeah.
whole team from Minda Inclusive. If we
opportunity.
can also make sure that you visit their
Yeah,
booth.
they're right
Because
outside. Go
the
say
voices, the voices are now being able to be in the commercial space too.
Yes.
Right? So we are really growing up very fast. Yes, it's a pejuang yang agak panjang perjalanannya, but I'm a positive person. I'm very
I am
encouraged.
very positive because
Yeah.
Minda Inclusive is here in less than 24 hours notice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Terima kasih.
Which neurotypical would
Please
have
give
done
us a
that.
wave.
Yeah.
Give them a big shout.
So we do include them even in this event. Okay, this one I want to take because half of it has been answered by Nori during the podcast the podcast recording about what should we do as parents when we felt self-defeated throughout this journey of parenthood. Well, we talk about getting help from professionals, but before that, I think we always feel self-defeated when we are lonely. So what we need is community support. Find your circle, have friends. I have 4 lovely kakak and adik here. You guys can subscribe us, So subscribe, watch us weekly. We have 51 episodes already. We can be there for you as well on YouTube and
To
Spotify.
uplift you. Don't feel defeated.
Yeah.
So loneliness I think will make you feel worse because you think that this is the worst thing that can happen to you. And when you see that other people facing the same difficulties and look how strong they are, you get semangat lah kan. Get the semangat and insyaAllah rasa better lah. And if that doesn't work, professional help. Okay. And one last question, yang ni simple je and we just need short answers from everybody. It's been 1 year. How do we feel? No. How do you feel? Each of us first. Desiree?
Selalu Desiree dulu. Adik dulu. Well, I have to be it feels surreal. I still have to pinch myself and remind myself that I'm actually sitting here right now talking to an audience, less nervous than I was 1 year ago. So that's a big thing for me. But mostly I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for this journey, for my kakaks and for all the people who listen to us weekly. As much as, a lot of people say, oh, you're helping so many people out there by sharing. And to be honest, it's all, doing this is also helping me. This is my support. This is how I support myself through my journey. So thank you.
Nori?
What Adik said. Enough said. No, it's true. Gratitude, self-help, everything. And just as I express my gratitude, I want to, thank everybody who's been along with the journey and, also to my family, giving me the opportunity, space and that time. They're taking on their roles too so that I can go out and try this. Even at a time when it's probably been the most challenging for Timur, my autistic son. I've questioned whether I should be here attempting to speak about these things when there are, there's a young man having a very hard time at home, and two other guys that need all of us to be there together. But I do believe that there is a way that this comes back to my kids. I mean, really one of the main things why we're here, that there's hope for building something better. There was a personal motivation, right? It's true. It is really to make a situation for our own children and our families better. I dedicate this, to my kids, to my family. But it's something that I think what drew us all together is that, we want to share. And when we build this and we're giving something to our kids, we think, oh, why not for everybody else? We acknowledge the privilege of sitting here. It's a privilege to be able to have the chance to go out, speak like this, say something. That means you have enough. You're okay in other places. Now, if you have enough, you have enough to give. I think we all have come from that understanding and background, and we want to do what we can so that also the privileges and the support, everything that we had for our children, we want to turn those into rights for everybody else. Yeah. So I'm feeling, another year at least, huh? Boleh lah? Satu lagi.
Anit?
I was always taught that when one door closes, another window opens. The five of us came together for the first time when we were championing for the National Autism Council. We thank the minister at that point for declaring it, but we were also very disappointed when it didn't go through. But then we found this platform, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we did it together. And then doors opened at the Bar Council. Doors have opened for us even engaging with some GLCs.
Yes.
That is beyond what we thought. So all I can say is we're grateful. And I am especially grateful that I've come across Malaysians who are passionate about the cause that I would have never have known if I hadn't taken this journey. So thank you to my kakaks and adiks for nudging me along for this. And we hope that more Malaysians will join our conversations and inspire us to do better work. Thank you.
Thank you, Anit. SK?
Grateful. A year down the road, what more? all the personal attention for home. Inspired is there is a purpose that we believe that we can pour out, Nori. But it's the connection. Thank you for keeping me and us connected each time we get the response from our audience. That's the connection. That's reality on the ground that I check in. And then having the live audience, that word bold, a year ago, we were launched in a podcast festival. Never, I can imagine, I will never be able to imagine that that launch pad has been sustained. And thank you all. Thank you, Ade, for it's really a privilege, Nori, as you say. Thank you for the privilege. Keep us inspired. And we will keep the energy going so that we can pour it out as we receive it from each and every one of you.
Thank you, SK.
Thank you.
And from me,
Didi, can I suggest we take the last question
Okay.
and then you close us off with how you feel
Sure.
and wrap it up. Yeah.
Thank you
Silakan.
so much for accommodating. My name is Natra. I'm from Gombo Education, where we use art to advocate for neurodiversity acceptance. So my question, it comes from a POV of a teacher, but also I'm a neurodivergent myself. I'm a late diagnosed autistic with moderate ADHD. So young thing. So my question is around inclusivity and also letting go. Because you mentioned, I think there was a question about what will happen to my kids when I die, right? So I feel as a teacher myself, if I may, I want to challenge that a bit. I think the question, the timeline is actually shorter. It's not when we die, it's when they grow up. Because as individual,
Yep.
there will be a time that, let alone when not adult, teenagers, when people will have that, they wanted to be independent. They wanted to be able to speak up for themselves. And that does not happen when we die, it's when they grow up. So the timeline is actually very shorter than that, if I may challenge that. So I guess the question is about how do we as educators, as caregivers, because sometimes because we think we know what's best for them, right? But there will be time in our approach to help them, we also need to learn to let go. That is what they needed at points. So I guess the question is, how can we learn to, it's like playing the kite. It's a balance of you need to let go of the kite so that it can fly higher, but sometimes you need to hold on so that it won't fly off, right? So how do we balance that? Letting go and guiding. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll take it.
Okay. You want to take that? Or
We'll answer the question and then take another question. Is that okay?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Balance and the kite. So first, I'd like to agree with you. You're right. I accept that, the looking at it from a different perspective. It's not just about when we're not there, but when they are ready to be out there in the world. I think that is really amongst one of the core reasons why we're out here, because when we are more assured that society, communities, just people are around us who are better able to be inclusive, that gives us more of the confidence to be able to let go, right? So there are certain things that have to be set in place in order to make to make letting go a bit more successful, right? I think the reasons why parents, families sometimes end up being overprotective or like taking over too much is because we are not assured that the world is going to be, kind enough for our kids, right? We all started off, I dare say, feeling that we needed to help our child to learn to grow. And then we realized at some point, and that's why we're here, it's the world that needs to change to be able to help and accept and support my kids. So we're doing part of that so that we can let go, so that our kids can also have the lives that, we have had, make their own choices, do whatever they want, make mistakes, fail, all that's part of living. So that's that one, creating the circumstances and the enabling, environment and space so that we can do the letting go as well. The other thing about that balance is I think you have to go back to every individual and recognizing person first and that person-centered approach to remember that every person is unique and how much does a person need a support from you versus a person that really, really maybe it's time for them to learn for themselves, to be independent, maybe even learn the hard way. And I think if you recognize everybody as an individual and, everybody, all the kids in your home, not even the ones who are just necessarily neurodivergent, but to pay attention to the person as a person, to remember that the person with the disability or neurodivergent is a person first, is a human being first. What are the likes, dislikes, strengths, challenges, preferences? And if you look at it from there, that will help, I think, with the pulling back, letting go, pulling back, because you are making it about them. A big learning for us at home in my family trying to support our guy was just to maybe pause from thinking what is good for him. But now we're trying to see what is good to him. What does he feel is good? So that's a bit of a switch. And you would think it should be the same, but sometimes it's not, right? Because good for is sometimes very long term, health, education, blah, 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 all these basic needs are met. But too good to, that's different for every person. What's going to make you feel good? Versus what's going to make Anit feel good. But if I'm paying attention to Anit, so I make sure I look after her, and I'm paying attention to you, and I look after you, God willing, inshallah, we'll find that balance somewhere.
Yeah. I think most of the anxiety comes because of unclear, uncertain, being uncertain. You are not sure. Kalau anak tipikal habis belajar, boleh berdikari, kan, tak kisahlah kerja apa pun, kita rasa yakin. Okay lah, mama dah besarkan you dah graduate, now you're on your own, you earn your money, everything. Tapi bila anak neurotypical ni, neurodivergent, the worry, uncertain. But of course, there's development of services offered in our country. Kalau dulu, mungkin bila dah dewasa, dia dah tak boleh pergi sekolah, dah tak, special needs school, macam PPKI pun sampai umur 18 tahun je. Then after that, what? So kita nak semua orang ada life yang fulfilling lah. Ada function dia. Sebab cuba bayangkan kita masa MCO dulu duduk rumah je. Walaupun work from home tapi tak keluar rumah. Kita pun tak tahan. So kita nak anak-anak ni pun adalah tempatnya, kalau mungkin yang perlukan lebih support, ada sheltered workshop kan, untuk bekerja. Sebab hidup ni, untuk kita rasa bahagia ni, kita tak adalah macam fikir consciously that we are here memberi sumbangan kepada masyarakat. So bukan semua orang akan terfikir itu consciously, but sebenarnya bila kita out there, you're leading a life like that, you be happy. So itu yang kita usahakan. Bukan setakat worry, we talk about it so that insyaAllah
things change. Lessen our worries.
Yeah.
I want to jump in right there because I know, it's very interesting that you started by saying that you're involved in art. This week, we spent a day with a professor of art therapy. And it really struck me that one word I learned, autonomy. So, Nori, when you say that, the individual person. So the fears on one side, the other side, let me be free. So the changes, and as a parent now in this community for the last 10 years, I think we need to be bold. There are positive changes. I would like us to anchor on hope. It's very, very important that we are a champion of hope.
Yeah.
So what Prof. Pilante reminded me as he was working with some of the clients, doing therapy, is the word autonomy, which we need to surrender back to our neurodivergent individual. As hard or as crazy it may seem, they have their abilities. It's just looking very different. And the final closing for me in this is, I love it. And he says, fall in love with your child again. Because the context of how hard it is, how suppressed our family can be, all the hidden abilities, all the possibilities seems to have been awash. Please, autonomy, I think, comes to self-integrity, self-identity. Boleh je. Yeah. Fall in love with our child again.
I have one small addition because she's asking from a teacher's perspective. I promise to be quick. And this is something we learned in spell, right? So the question I think is when to let go, right? And from a teacher's perspective, I know it's hard. I've been a teacher myself. But if you're looking at a holistic approach to the individual, have a conversation with everyone involved in the child's care, whether it's a therapist, parent, and include the neurodivergent themselves in the conversation and find out how comfortable they are with the letting go of the others. Some may be ready, some may not be ready. So that difficult conversation, it can be difficult for some, but it must be done.
Autonomy.
Autonomy, absolutely.
I would also say this in an Asian context because as an Asian parent, we always plan for our kids, right?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as at 18 you need to leave home and be independent like some Western countries. That whole concept of having that conversation is something we are hoping to have triggered with our podcast so that everybody starts looking at it differently and the village out there is also ready
To receive.
to receive it.
Yep.
Thank you.
So that I can die peacefully. Mata tak terbuka. I don't know.
A final question from the
Last question. Yes,
Last
sir.
question.
Really, really last question.
Yes.
Good morning, all of you. I'm a member of the bar here. I have one question. I'm quite keen on the Mental Health Act. Surprisingly, no one mentioned about the Mental Health Act here. I expect it to be addressed actually. Now, how does the Malaysian Mental Health Act, Act 615, address the needs and rights of neurodivergent individuals, and does it provide sufficient legal protection and support for the unique challenges in education, employment, and healthcare?
No, I think I did mention it, but maybe it wasn't caught. We are advocating for a Mental Capacity Act for the neurodivergents. We don't have one yet. The Mental Health Act is insufficient. Countries like Singapore and UK have already introduced a Mental Capacity Act.
How about the Persons with Disabilities Act 2008?
2008 again. The ad hoc committee of the Bar Council in Persons with Disabilities, we have been advocating for firstly addition to Article 8.2 and 12.1 of the Federal Constitution to add the word disability. 12.1 so that no disabled will be discriminated in education, and generally Article 8.2 so that no disabled will be discriminated whatsoever. We also have, Mira has been part of the task force to amend the Persons with Disabilities Act because unfortunately in Malaysia, we have not, since ratifying the UN Convention of Rights with Persons of Disability, amended and domesticated our laws to harmonize with the international obligation. That's why we have advocated for the amendments. The task force was completed more than a year ago. We have yet to hear from the ministry. That's why we talk about legislature. And that's why we also gave a shout out to Bao, who's in the crowd, for taking a test case to court when he was discriminated against. And Justice Quay decided earlier last month that he was discriminated against on the ground of disability because of his OKU card. So these are measures that we have been taking, but the road is very long. Join us in advocating for more changes.
Yeah, I'm ready to contribute to drafting.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I haven't answered. How do I feel?
Yes,
Okay.
you have not.
I'm in a podcast, baby. So with that, thank you everybody for coming in on a lovely Saturday.
Thank you.
Hope to see you guys perhaps next year for our second anniversary. Thank you.
Meanwhile, like, share, subscribe.
Yes, please like, share, subscribe, listen to, watch our YouTube, and suggest our channel to those who might benefit from our sharings. We have 51 episodes so far, the 50 already published, and trust us, we have more to talk about.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.